Oh my god, this is massive, this is massive. Hey, what's up and welcome everyone to another Warzone Academy video. Now, I gotta apologize, I lied to you. I said Warzone Academy videos every other day. And we're uploading back to back. Let's go, baby. Today we're talking about the best loadouts for your playstyle. See, I hear so many videos coming out of people saying, this is the single best loadout. It just doesn't work that way. Based on your skill level, your playstyle, the mood you're feeling, there is no best class, but based off of certain ways you're playing, there are some fundamental classes that I believe will help get you there. In our previous video, we talked about how best to rotate to not only avoid flanks, but rack up the most kills. That video popped off, did an incredible job. If you haven't seen it yet, that will be linked at the end of this video. Now, before I get onto the specific class setups, there are some overarching themes and some contested points that I want to clarify before I actually show you my setups. This will give you a better understanding of my thought process as to why something is better off for certain playstyles. One of the key features for some of the loadouts you'll see here in a moment is I have a sub loadout for all of my main loadouts. And what I do with this sub loadout is I change one of the attachments from, let's say, a foregrip and add fully loaded. You've likely heard this tip before, but if you were to come out of the gulag and land on a loadout drop, you're not going to have any ammo besides the ammo inside the magazines. So what this allows you to do by having fully loaded, you get a fully loaded mag and you get all the reserve ammo as well. Sure, you're out maybe an attachment for a foregrip, but at least you can now go through the end game with everything you need to actually win gunfights. And let's talk about Overkill real quick. Some people are very steadfast in the belief that you should never use Overkill, you should only buy 2 loadout drops because, you lose the ability to hold Ghost. It's completely personal preference. There's no right answer here. Me personally, I like to run Overkill first and then buy a secondary loadout that maybe has Ghost attached. So it all depends on your priority and your playstyle. If you want to focus on having your 2 weapons of choice first, build an Overkill loadout. If you want to focus on having Ghost as soon as possible to avoid UAVs and heartbeat sensors, that's your playstyle. By all means, build a Ghost class first, and then buy your secondary loadout afterwards, then you can have your 2 guns of choice and Ghost. And while we're talking about Overkill, I gotta say one of my biggest pet peeves of all the loadout videos is people are pushing people to run Grau and Sniper. The Grau is a fantastic gun, but it is not the best AR in Call of Duty by any means whatsoever. It's got a slower fire rate, an increased range, but it does not compare to the M4 or the Ram 7 when it comes to DPS. It's a great gun by itself, but there's no reason to run a long-range AR with a long-range sniper rifle. Mix it up. Do a SMG and a sniper rifle, or just run the Grau. I just gotta get that off my chest. The Grau is not maneuverable enough to hang with the MP7s or the Ram 7s or the MP5s, the M4s at close range, especially since everyone's running it with monolithic suppressor. The Grau is great, just makes no sense to run it Overkill with a sniper. All right, with that big picture stuff out of the way, let's get into the specific classes. So you can see on the left, I've got 5 different playstyles and a corresponding 5 different classes, some of them with a little bit, a variance if you want. And number 5 is just, the playstyle is a meme lord. You're feeling edgy, you're feeling like just being that guy. You don't care what your opponents think of you, what your friends think of you, you're just trying to ruin someone's night and make some really corny kills. I asked you guys in a YouTube post what you would say is the most disrespectful troll play you can make, and you all voted for RPG Riot Shield with EOD, Restock, and Amped. That restock is just refreshing the throwing knife and stun grenade. Apparently it works best in squads where you can just crouch forward, your team is giving suppressive fire, and then you're just right on top of them with RPGs, maybe doing the throwing knife for a disrespect finish. It's just filthy. Me personally, my disrespectful class is running around with a hot pink MG34 and an Akimbo Snake Shot 357. You should hear the comms whenever I kill people with this class. So the MG34 has the 100-round belt. Whenever you pick it up off the ground, it's only got 50. Sleight of hand to speed things up. Range for foregrip because it kicks like a mule. Monolithic suppressor for silencer, and then a thermal hybrid because who doesn't like being that guy spraying through the smoke? The Akimbo Snake Shot 357s has a snake shot ammo, the lightweight trigger for the increased fire rate, the longer barrel for more range, and then the 5 milliwatt laser for the quicker sprint to fire speed, which will help you snap around those corners and get those shots quicker. Now, some of you may not like me showing off this next one, but this one's for the campers. The guys that don't want to play aggressive, that don't want to get a lot of kills, they just want to chill. They're going full Cold-Blooded, Ghost, and Amped. They don't want to be seen on the radar. They don't want to be seen on thermals. Third perk, Amped, you can, I guess, run Shrapnel, maybe run double Claymores. Battle Hardened is nice if you don't want to get smoked out or stunned, but in general, Amped, because of that quicker weapon swap and the quicker, rocket reload, it's the way to go. For me, I would run the Growl here. Like I said, I don't like running Growl on Overkill, but for a solo weapon, because of its increased range, it makes sense. Now this part's really important, the Commando foregrip. Even though the Commando foregrip is one of the first foregrips you unlock, it's the best foregrip for reducing horizontal recoil while you shoot. So the Ranger and the Operator and the other foregrips help, bring that gun down from kicking up too much. But for me as a player, and for most people, it's easy to simply drag the right stick down or drag your mouse down. When tracking gets really hard is when your aim is bouncing to the left and to the right. The Commando foregrip prevents that. So add the Commando foregrip, even though it's one of the first ones you unlock, it's so much better compared to the rest. And then of course, I've got the 60 round mags because that just makes sense. And then the rubber because I'm more concerned about recoil control than I am, let's say, the lightweight where I'm trying to aim down sight because I'm a camper. And this wouldn't be a true camping class if I didn't have my second loadout drop being picking up a sniper. Here I've got the HDR with the grassy knoll skin, the monolithic suppressor, and the longest barrel possible. Both of these increase your damage range, decrease your bullet drop off, but more importantly, it increases your bullet velocity, causing this gun to become near hit scan at long ranges. It's pretty unfair. I've got presence of mind, which allows you to hold your breath for upwards of a minute so you can just wait. Wait until your opponent finally stands still. The FTAC champion, which helps with aim walking steadiness, but also aiming stability, which is that passive sway that you have as you aim down sight. And of course, we gotta top it off with that thermal dual power scope, so that way I can snipe all the way across the map. Even if I don't see my enemies, they're gonna show up nice and bright. If I wanted to be really cheap, I could throw on the Merc Thermal Optic. This allows me to use the thermal scope, but it will not have the lens flare that the other larger scopes have. Next up in the third place style is the Full Send. We're trying to break kill records here. We're trying to get as many kills as humanly possible, and it all starts with the perks. You'll notice we don't have Ghost. We don't have Cold-Blooded. We're running EOD, Restock, and Amped. We swap out EOD for Cold-Blooded because we're using that RPG and the C4, so we don't want to die by our own explosives. And then the real big change is we're using Restock instead of Ghost. See, I don't care about Ghost if I'm going for every kill possible. I actually want people hunting me and tracking me down because that's just one more person in the lobby that's going to be in my line of sight. And with Restock, I get to constantly restock my C4 and my stun grenades, which are incredibly powerful. Since I'm playing really aggressive, I'm getting a lot of UAVs. I no longer need that heartbeat sensor. I can use those stun grenades to help me win awkward 50-50 battles, and then whip out this MP7 and mow enemies down. I've got the longer barrel and the suppressor for increased range, the Commando foregrip for the reasons we talked about earlier, 60 round mag is self-explanatory, and then the stippled grip tape. In a future video, I'll explain why I use the stippled grip tape over both of the lasers. Let me just say the data backs it up. If you have to pick one or the other, pick the grip tape. Just trust me. Expect that video to come out within the next week. Now, admittedly, this isn't the most sustainable comp. You're putting a lot of risk on the line, but that's the, kind of risk reward payoff you have for trying to hunt down as many kills as possible. It's not ideal for stealth, but if everything pays off and the luck pays off, you can rack up some really high kill games with this comp. Moving on to the second one, this is actually my second most used class. I use it all the time, and it's Overkill with the MP7 and the HDR. As you can see here, I have that secondary loaded class. I remove the Commando foregrip and I remove the extended mag on my HDR, so that way I can have the fully loaded perk, which allows me in the event of a late drop from the gulag to still be in the fight with full up ammo. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I have a third backup for this, and this is when I want to run Ghost. So I have the exact same MP7 build. I'll have an RPG as a secondary just for kicks, and then that way I can have my Overkill loadout if I end up finding a second supply drop, but then I get to have Ghost on top of it. So I'll have an MP7 and HDR, EOD, Ghost, and Amped, and I can run the entire lobby with full perks and my weapons of choice. The MP7 is the exact same build as my Full Send class, but there are some changes to the HDR compared to the camper. I have the monolithic suppressor and the long barrel, but I have an extended mag because I want to get more shots off, and then I have a tack laser, which increases that aim down sight speed, which can kind of help me with quick scoping, and then I do genuinely enjoy the thermal scope. Don't hate me too much, I'm sorry. And now finally the moment you waited for, my personal loadout of choice. So many of you have asked me about this in my previous videos, and it's none other than the decked out Ram 7. This gun is insane. It's the perfect balance between maneuverable and, high rate of fire at close range, but still with that monolithic suppressor and extended barrel, it can frag at long ranges. This whole class setup is kind of a hybrid between the full send and the conservative of the Overkill. Right, when you're playing Overkill, you're kind of, I could full send if I want to at the MP7, but I can also sit back and snipe. Full send, you don't have a choice. You're going all the way in. This one is kind of in between the two. I get to be aggressive with a high fire rate, high damage Ram 7, but I can also play a little more conservative and use the RPG to clear out buildings. I'm not necessarily having to go in for those really close gunfights. I can mess up vehicles that come my way. And then I've got EOD, Ghost, and Amped. EOD prevents me from getting one hit by rocket launchers, except, well, a direct hit. And then Ghost allows me to be a little bit more low-key. I don't want to run Amped all the time where I'm always popping up on heartbeat sensors, always popping up on UAVs. I don't really value my utility as much as I do my stealth. Amped is self-explanatory, it's extremely valuable. C4s allow me to take out any vehicles that may come my way or clear out individual rooms. And then a heartbeat sensor allows me to track down individuals that haven't yet purchased Ghost. Especially with loadout drops now costing $10,000, it's super common, especially in solos, for enemies not to have Ghost equipped. Alright, so what's the Ram look like? Since we're using this as our primary and only weapon, we want to use the FSS Ranger and the monolithic suppressor to increase our range. The Commando foregrip for the reasons we talked about earlier with the horizontal recoil. Same thing goes for the stippled grip tape and the 50-round mag. A couple little additional details you may see on my weapon. The charm that I have that a lot of people ask about is the dope scope. The only way to get the dope scope is to order a Scuff Modern Warfare Vantage 2 controller. Now, I did a review on this controller, and it's insane. It's so well crafted. They did a really nice job on it. Check out that review. The link will be in the description if you're interested. But whenever I'm playing on controller, that's what I've got in my hands. For the sticker, it's the Remarkable Marksman. I throw it on every single magazine, and it just looks really clean, having that gold and black right there next to my gold weapon.
There's a knock right here. There's a knock right here. Or he's laying down. Okay. He's alive. He's alive on my ping. On my ping. He's gonna thirst me. Oh my god.
And alright guys, that about wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this installment of Warzone Academy. Give those weapons a try and let me know what you think. Let me know down in the comments, is there one loadout that I missed? Is there a combination that you love that you think is better? Let me know. In the background, I'm playing with my two best friends, my two mentors, my fellow streamers and YouTubers. So we're back up my Jenks and Chicken 9 Man. They're both thriving Apex YouTubers. Jenks used to be a Blackout YouTuber from anyone who used to play Call of Duty Blackout. I just wanted to shout them out. They inspire me to continue making amazing content, just like you guys inspire me in the comments. Make sure to let me know in the future what additional Warzone Academy videos you want to see next. Sorry about the black webcam, it kind of died there at the end of the VOD. But yeah guys, thank you so much. Warzone Academy is going great, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.